do World Ventures for the last 20 years of his life. Everything he had done, he was in the insurance business, he was a public speaker, he was a trainer. He does all these things. He's charismatic, he's persuasive, he speaks different languages. He's got all the attributes of what you'd want to have. So when he started at World Ventures, he was like, score, 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 score. And other people are going, why don't I score like Sir Irwin? Because for the last 20 years, you haven't been preparing to do this business. People come up and go, oh my gosh, I'm really shy, I don't know anyone. I think if I ever had to get up in front of a group and talk, I'd pee my pants. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're afraid to talk to people, if you have no one in your contact list, if when you do talk to people, you're not persuasive, you're not standing right in front of the goal. Now, here's the super cool news. We have this training program that I was fortunate enough to come in and start up, but believe me, it's not because of me. We have so many great people around the world that are helping us do this now. And the point is, we've got a training system where if you are all the way in Taiwan as far as your ability to do this business, you are the least likely person to ever do World Ventures and succeed. If you're willing to work on yourself, and if you're willing to come to trainings, and if you're willing to listen to the audios, and you're willing to watch the videos, slowly but surely, you can get a little bit better and 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 a little bit better. And sooner or later, you'll be able to be in range where you're scoring goals. And you know what? That's the truth. I would love to tell every single one of you that you can all be an IMD right now, but let's just keep it real for a moment, okay? There are skills needed to be great in any business. How many think to be a doctor you have to have certain skills? To be a brain surgeon, do you think maybe you have to have steady hands? What do you think? So there's certain things that you need. Now here, you can make up what you lack in skill with intensity and with just hard work. For example, let's talk about being a doctor again, being a brain surgeon. Let's say I'm not very talented, but I have a really positive attitude. So every time I perform brain surgery and kill yet another patient, I don't let it bother me. Some will, some won't, so what? Some of you are like, I'm not going to laugh no matter what he says. All right, no worries. So you have to have skills. You follow what I'm saying? In many things, you must have skills, and if you don't, you're not qualified and you're out. But here, if you are horrible at inviting people to a presentation, there are good ways and bad ways to invite someone to a presentation. There are some people in this room that if they call 10 people up to invite them to a presentation, 9 show up. 9 out of 10 almost every time. There's other people in this room that are lucky to get 2 out of 10. But if you're calling people up, it's like asking girls on a date. If you go, you wouldn't want to go out with me, would you? The answer is probably going to be no. Okay? You know, I know you probably already have a boyfriend, and I know you probably don't even know who I am, and you wouldn't want to go out with me, would you? I mean, come on. No wonder you're not getting dates. Give me a break. But if you're willing to pay attention, get excited, and never quit, and keep getting a little bit better and 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 a little bit better, sooner or later you can be going on lots of dates. If you follow the analogy, this is not a dating service in reality. This is an analogy I'm going to give you. So far you're writing in your notes, okay, we're talking about dating and playing football. What the hell? Okay, but I love to use analogies, guys, because it's the simplest, easiest way to get people to really understand the concept of what we're trying to teach. So let me dive into really teaching you some solid things tonight. One of them, not that what I just taught you isn't solid, but something that's really usable. In order to be successful, I want to establish that we must have that long-term mindset. James and a couple of his friends just got back from climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and I think he'll share a few minutes with you later. That is not so much something where you've got to be an Olympic athlete to do it, but you do definitely have to be willing to literally take one step at a time. A lot of times you'll hear a professional athlete, a tennis player or something say they're taught just play one point at a time. But when you're trying to do what James tried to do, again, he'll share some of this with you, you've got to just play one step at a time. Take one step at a time. You have to have a long-term mentality and just believe that if you keep taking one step at a time, eventually you're going to get to whatever your destination is. So you got to grab that mindset. And again, for some of you, I'm going to share these things with you, and you'll use them, and you'll be a marketing director in R&D in 6 months. Some of you will be, you do the same thing, and it'll take you 2 years. Other people do the same thing, and it'll take you 7 years. You know what I mean? But I assure you that if you do the next 7 things I share with you on a consistent basis, they're gonna work. If you are in less than great physical shape, here's another analogy, and you just, I don't know what you guys do for New Year's Eve, but in America we make New Year's resolutions, and we have 2 main New Year's resolutions. Next year I'm going to make a bunch of money, and next year I'm going to get in shape. That's the American thing. I don't know if you know about us Americans, but we eat a lot of food. So there's a lot of overweight Americans, like a ridiculous amount of overweight Americans. So last year on January 1st, 95 million Americans went on a diet. Like everyone's like, I'm going to get in shape. That's the deal. So I don't know about you if you go to a gym. I go to a gym regularly. So when you go to a gym in America in January, it's a nightmare in the beginning of January because it's mobbed. I mean, all of a sudden, there's like, wow, you think it's the population of Beijing in your gym. I mean, it's mobbed. All of a sudden, you can't get on a treadmill, you can't find a weight to lift or anything. And then, you know, these people come in, they hang out for a while. Now that this has been going on for years, I know that literally by January 15th, it's down to about 10% of that group. And by February 1st, they're gone. All of them. They're gone because they don't look long term. What they want to do is go to the gym, run a lot for 2 days, lift weights for 2 days, and then look in front of the mirror and look like the guy on the cover of Muscle and Fitness magazine. It just doesn't work that way. But again, the point is this. If you were to commit to going to the gym and just go 3 days a week, work out for 45 minutes a day, just do some basic work on the treadmill, some basic lifting, but you did that every single week for the next 5 years, how many realize 5 years later you look a lot different? It's not, it's boring. It's you know how compound interest, you put money in a bank account, and over a long period of time the interest adds up? Compounded efforts works the exact same way. You don't need to be spectacular, but you need to do simple disciplines over and over and over and over again. You need to make the numbers your friend. And here's one of my favorite expressions I learned somewhere along the way. What's easy to do is also easy not to do. So I'm going to share really simple, basic things with you. Every single one is going to go, I can do that. Okay, cool. But the question is, will you do it consistently over and over again for a number of years? Will you make these next 7 things I'm going to share with you habits? So these are what we call the 7 absolutes, because we believe if you do these, there's no doubt you will absolutely have success in our business. Again, I don't know how quickly it'll happen, but you'll have success. The first absolute is you want to you want to develop a product story. So our product is a travel club. I'm sure you know that. If you don't know that, oh my gosh, you're in trouble. We have a travel club, and we have a primary product that's called Dream Trips. How many of you have been on a dream trip? Let me see your hand if you've been on a dream trip. Awesome. How many have not been on dream trips? It's okay, raise your hand. No one's going to shoot you. But we might slap you. Okay, so the deal is, I just cannot impress upon you enough how important it is for you to go on a trip. Could you imagine trying to sell cars, but you ride a bike to work every day? You know what I mean? It just, you've really got to experience the product. If our product in the Dream Trips right now, all it is an intellectual concept to you that you've never actually experienced, it's just so different. I mean, you know, I don't know how to express it to you. It's like going to a live sporting event is so much different than watching it on TV. I mean, it's still the same game, but there's just something about experiencing a powerful live event. How many of you guys go out when the Grand Prix is here and you go check it out in person? It's just different than watching it on TV. So it's something about going on this trip and experiencing not only, yes, it's a great resort at a cheap price, but the people you get a chance to meet, the fun, the stories you get to tell each other, and the fun adventures you get to have together. So when people come back from a dream trip, I don't know the exact statistic, but close to 9 out of 10 of those people keep their membership for at least another year. That's how satisfied they are with the quality of the product. So it's really important for you to go on a trip and develop your story. In our business, our expression is very simple. Facts tell, stories sell. Now, a lot of you don't know that, and you in the past have been a good presenter. You come from a business where you're all about gathering data and giving your customer information. That's nice. Here, facts tell, stories sell. Let me be different, put it to you differently. Facts bore the hell out of people. Okay, so you don't need to show your prospect every dream trip we've ever done, ever. You don't need to go back and take our owners and run back their entire work history and show their transcripts when they were in secondary school. All you have to do is give them a little bit of information and then tell your story. And your story is about going on whatever trip it is that you've been able to go on. And as silly as that might sound, that's what's going to get you selling lots of memberships. Just tell people your story. You don't need to have all the facts. You don't even need to be able to answer every question a potential customer has, but you do need to be able to tell your story. And telling your story of you using the product is just way different than you pitching the product when it's clear to the person you're talking to that you yourself are not using that product. So that's our first thing. Our first absolute is use our product as frequently as you can and develop as many product stories as you possibly can. A guy like James Lee, my God, how many trips has James gone on? He's got to be close to having chronic fatigue syndrome just because he goes on so many trips. I mean, he just goes on trip after trip. He needs a vacation from all his vacations. But when he's telling people, yeah, I've been here, I've been there, I've been here, I've been to Paris, I've been to Monte Carlo, I've been to the United States, I've been to Australia, I've been here, I've been there. It's like, wow. I mean, people just want to do that. We have a guy in the United States named Keith, and he comes from an inner city part in Chicago, a very poor neighborhood. And all he does is go on Facebook, and every time he goes on a trip, he just puts up pictures. Doesn't write any text, doesn't try to convince or sell anyone, just puts up pictures of all the cool places he goes. And he's had 50 people become customers of his just by them reaching out to him and saying, my God, what do you do that you're traveling all over the world and having so much fun? How many of you think you could go someplace? This is complicated. Go someplace, take a picture. I know you guys can take pictures. I've seen you take pictures. Take pictures. Then you got to be really, really, really good to post it, and then you do nothing. You just sit around and wait. Could you do that? You go somewhere, you take pictures, you post it. You go somewhere. Now, again, it may be a delayed response. I'm not saying you're going to go on one trip, post 4 pictures, and everyone in Singapore is going to knock on your door. I'm just saying, over a period of time, you just have to have fun and tell people about what's happened to you when you go on these trips. Not sell it to them, not try to sell them a membership, just tell them your story. So that's number one. The second, so these are 7 absolutes. Number 1, use the product and tell people about it. Get a story. Number 2 absolute is you need to learn how to get your new prospects started properly. Okay, brand new people get involved in this business, guys, and first of all, they have very little time to do it. Secondly, they want immediate results. So if they don't know what they're doing in the beginning and they don't get really quick results, they get bored really, really quickly. And then thirdly, there are so many different things that they can see and not be sure which one they're supposed to do first. So it's up to us to sit down and share with them what's most vitally important. So let me just tell you a couple of things about getting a new person started right. First thing, have them write down the 5 biggest main places they want to travel to. What's on their bucket list? Where are the 5 places in the world that you're dying to go to? And how crazy would it be if when they name those 5 places, we already have a dream trip to one of them, and you can get them within their first 48 hours within the company going on a holiday to a place that was just a dream for them before they joined the company. That's how you create customer satisfaction very, very quickly. So number 1, where are the 5 places in the world you want to go to? How many think you can handle that? Pretty basic, pretty simple. Second thing you do, make a list of everybody your new person knows. In other words, anyone they know. Here's how you don't make a list. Watch me. This is visual. Get out a piece of paper. Get out a pen. I don't know if you've heard of people. There was a point where you didn't type everything into a device. There was actually pens and papers. It goes back hundreds of years ago. So you get out a pen and paper, kidding, and you start writing, and here's how you're supposed to make your list. Just anyone that comes into your mind, you just write there. You just write and write and write. You write so freely that your arm's about to fall off because it hurts because you've written so. That's the way you're supposed to do it, but that's not how you do it. This is how most of you make your list. Yeah. No, I don't think they would do it. Oh, she would want to do it. They don't have the money. Yeah. He's busy with his job. Yeah. No. What are you, a psychic friend? Yes. Esmeralda will do this. Listen, honestly, if you're that much of a psychic, stop doing this business and start playing the lottery frequently. Start going to casinos. I mean, what are you doing this business? If you can predict the future, for God's sake, none of us can predict the future. You don't know who's going to sign up and who's not going to sign up. I was sharing last night, I remember the first time I ever came to Singapore, we did that training we talked about, and then the day after the training, James was like, man, I know you're tired, but we have this guy. He's a pretty big deal here in Singapore, and we're showing him the business. Is there any way you could sit down and have coffee with us and just share the business a little bit? And I was like, sure. And they sat down and we had an appointment. Well, first of all, I didn't know who he was because I don't watch TV here in Singapore. But when he parked his car and walked in the building, everyone was like breaking their neck. We could have handed out neck braces to people because it was like, oh my God, like, oh. It would be like in the United States if Brad Pitt or Jim Carrey or some super famous person walked down, everyone would do the same thing. So it was this guy, Gurmit Singh, and he came in and he sat down, and some of you guys know Gurmit's not only in our business, he's an R&D in the company. Now, how many of you wish you would have been able to get him on your team? I mean, that would be beautiful, but here's the thing. You can't get him on your team if you don't invite him. You got to invite him. I found out a long time ago, if you want a girl, kiss, you can't kiss a girl if you don't have a girl. I know some of you tried an online version, trust me. Not the way you want to go. So to kiss your girlfriend, you need a girlfriend. So you can't have a girlfriend if you don't ask someone out. So again, it's a direct parallel. I do the guy-girl analogy from a guy's perspective, but in secondary school, I never had a date. And I used to always complain about it. My friend finally, at the end of our last year, said, you know, I'm so sick and tired of you. You can't have a date because you haven't asked anyone out. I'm like, oh, well, yeah. I was just kind of being cool. I was just like kind of putting out the vibe. What the hell's so funny? See, it still doesn't work. I was just waiting for girls to notice how cute and cool I was. That didn't work. Shut up. So then I started asking girls out, and it was ugly at first. It was horrible. But sooner or later, I said, you wouldn't want to go out with me, would you? And some girl said yes. And I was like, really? So, you know, slowly but surely you build up your confidence and, you know, things, but you've got to ask. You've got to take a chance. You got to go. So again, getting a new person started, the most important thing you do is you make the biggest list with them you possibly can, and then you take action with them, making those first couple of calls. The goal is to score in 24, meaning we want to get that new person one sale, if at all possible, within 24 hours. So, for example, if this was a PBR, if this was a private business reception, or a travel party, whatever it was, a 2-on-1 at a cafeteria, and we sign your new person up, our goal is the clock starts ticking within 24 hours, if at all possible, we want to get their first sale. So if they say to you, well, let's get back 5 days from now and meet again, no. I'll tell you what, that sounds good, but how about this? Why don't we call someone right now and set up an appointment for tomorrow? Well, I'm working tomorrow. How about after work? Well, I'm doing something after work. How about before work? Well, I'm doing something before work. How about during lunch? If there's any way to make a sale within someone's first 24 hours, or at least their first 72 hours, it's a whole different game plan. People don't make a sale within 72 hours. All of a sudden, they start getting cold feet, second-guessing themselves, and all kinds of crazy stuff. So those are the first two absolutes. Get your new person started the right way, use the product, develop your story. The third one is attend every event you possibly can. Now, this would be an event, okay? In a training event or whenever you do weekly presentations, whatever is a regular time when our reps get together. Our co-founder, Wayne Nugent, who's been a very successful network marketer for years, said, man, it's like in the real world, it's cold out there. It's a cold, cruel world. In World Ventures, we have a lot of fun. Not only do we have a lot of fun, most people in our business are very positive and upbeat and optimistic, and a lot of them are just fun, happy people. For God's sakes, our slogan for our company is making a living, and our whole deal is about having fun, freedom, and fulfillment. So we don't attract a lot of negative, whiny, unhappy people. We get some of them. I know some of them are here tonight. I'm just saying, there's a couple. But for the most part, we have pretty happy people. So when people just come to a presentation, it's warmer. So Wayne says, man, you got to stay around the campfire. Come and be around our people, and we'll build your confidence up. Instead of people telling you how stupid and inadequate you are and how you can't do things, normally when you're around just our normal people, not just our top reps, our normal people, it's a very nurturing, fun, you can do this kind of environment, which is something a lot of people have never gotten their whole life. The other expression is either you need the meeting or the meeting needs you. So if you've gotten to the point where you're a super dynamo and you don't need to be at the meeting anymore, you know this stuff, and that's great, but there's lots of other people that don't have that yet. So that's where our teamwork thing comes from. That's one of our core values in our company is we're one big team. We all work together. So whether we're talking about a local training, and especially when I say attend every event, I'm talking about when the company comes and does the training. Either myself or any of our trainers from around the world. We have regional trainings where we send people into Singapore the last weekend of September. I know you guys have already sold that event out, right? We have one of our people coming out here, which is great. The group in general, very good at supporting these events. But that doesn't help you. If there's already 1,400 people at the regional, but you're not one of them, that's not helping you. If there's 1,400 people at the regional, but no one on your team is there, that is not helping you in any way, shape, or form. So attending those events, and then our big events, where I do get a chance to come and train with you, and whenever I come, I usually bring 2 or 3 of the very best #1 income earners from around the world with me, and we get into a session where we really engulf you for a full weekend of what's going on. They say that when you learn a little bit every day, that's one way to learn, and then there's full immersion learning. I've heard many, many times, you want to learn how to speak a language? If you want to learn how to speak Portuguese, go to Portugal. You can't speak Portuguese? Great. Hang out there for about 4 or 5 days. All of a sudden, you're going to start picking up words. You know why? Because at some point, you're going to want to eat food and go to the bathroom. So you're going to figure something out. You have no choice because you're immersed. It's an immersion situation. So that's what we're doing. We do these full weekends where we shut everything else down. God forbid you barely even look at your phone during that time. I know that's hard for some of you to comprehend. And we just stay focused on you really learning how to build your business. Now, we only do 3 of those a year in Asia, so it's really important you plug in all the events. So again, these 7 absolutes, just repeating them to make sure you don't forget them. Number 1, use the product. Number 2, get your new rep started right. Number 3, attend all the events. Number 4, commit to personal development. Now, here's the problem with personal development is the coolest thing in the whole world. The problem is a lot of you, when I say personal development, you think that somehow that's something for someone who needs a psychologist. Or there's something wrong with people who need personal development. Or you think you've already got your act together so much that you don't need any personal development. I know that some of you feel that way because that's how I felt 27 years ago. And there's an expression, we don't know what we don't know. See, there's things that we know, and there's things we don't know. But how about the things you don't know? And that's what we call a blind spot. Have you ever been driving a car and there's sometimes when you're looking in your mirrors, there's just a little tiny area that you miss because there's just a spot there that you can't see. It's called a blind spot. So what's the blind spot in your life or in your business? And there's a lot of people that work as hard as a human being could possibly work at what you're doing. And for whatever reason, you've never gotten the kind of success you want, you've never earned the kind of money you want to make, you've never been able to become the leader you want, you don't have the following you want. And I'm telling you, it's because there's a blind spot there you're not aware of. And the way to fix that is through personal development, it's through leadership development. Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies take almost their entire training money, their budget for the year, and they put it all into taking their top executives and putting through the highest quality leadership training they possibly can. That's what we want you to commit to. Instead of turning on the TV and watching another show, or instead of pulling up another funny YouTube video about squirrels or kittens, we would rather you commit to every single day doing something as far as educating yourself with personal development. And again, we keep it real basic. Either read 10 pages of a super good book every day, or listen to an audio or watch a video for about 20 minutes. Now, the great thing is a lot of people are like, well, what should we read? What should we watch? The company has actually put together a product now where if you just go into your back office, the moment you log into your back office on the landing page, you'll see as you're looking at the screen on the right-hand side, there's a video screen there. Above the video screen, there's a blue button and there's an orangey red button. Click the orangey red button. It says The Advantage, and it's got every excellent training we've ever done as far as audios go from our best live events for the last 9 years. Many of you obviously haven't been here. Many of you obviously have not been to our trainings in the United Kingdom, in the United States, all over the world. So we've captured all the best information by our best trainings on everything you need to know how to do. Whether it be a travel party, a 2-on-1, how to close a sale, how to prospect, anything you need to know how to do. We've got people that are making the kind of money you want to make. And even though they're not your upline, and even though you may never meet them, you can go in and listen to all their day training on audio through a program we call The Advantage. It's only $20 a month. So now, you don't need to use The Advantage. If you want to use other stuff, that's fine. I'm not trying to sell you The Advantage. I'm just saying, since this is one of the most critical things for you to get from where you are to where you want to get to. So we have spent literally a couple of years putting together a program, so it's turnkey. It's a piece of cake. It's a no-brainer. Again, you want to get your group rolling. Not only do you want to be on The Advantage, you want to make sure all your people are on The Advantage. So number 4 is committing to personal development. Number 5, track your vital statistics. Okay, there's 3 vital statistics in our business. There's lots of statistics. I mean, any business owner, you could look at 100 different statistics. If you go into your back office, once you start developing a team, there's a gazillion different things you can look at, reports you can pull, but just narrow it down to 3 vital ones that make all the difference. Number 1, how many people have you personally enrolled in World Ventures? Personally. Now, how many people are on your team? See, if you enroll one guy like Max Tay, and then Max went out and built a team with 3,000 people on it, I'm not talking the 3,000 people, I'm talking about the one that you brought in, which in this case would be Max. So how many people have you personally enrolled into the company? Now, we have different ranks in our company, and if you don't know the ranks, let's forget about the names of the ranks. Let's just talk about, if the 1 rank is where people average over $5,000 US a month in earnings, how many would like to make at least $5,000 a month in World Ventures? Okay, so we have tracked and done statistics that the average number of personal signups that you've gotten, or that people have gotten in order to get to that rank, making that kind of money, is 30. 30 personal enrollments. So I don't know how many personal enrollments you have. Now listen, I don't know who presented World Ventures to you. I don't know who's trained you. I know we have a lot of great trainers, a lot of great what we call uplines, the people who help and support you. But maybe you've been getting the wrong information, and maybe you're going with this mindset. Well, you know, all I have to do is get one really good person on my left and one really good person on my right, which if you understand the comp plan, that's true. You get one really good person on your left and one really good person on your right, and they go to work, you can make a bunch of money. Here's the problem. The odds of you getting one person on your left and having them turn into Dr. Wu, and one person on your right and having them turn into Dennis Bay, very slim. The odds of that happening are the same as you going to your parking lot tonight and getting hit by lightning 3 times in an hour. It's incredibly unlikely. Okay, so here's the deal. When you make the numbers your friend, which is what I shared with you earlier, and you go out and you put at least 30 personal people into the business, now the odds of getting at least one good one on the left and one good one on the right go up dramatically. And some people, when they go out and get that many people, and they end up with 3 or 4 good ones on the left and 3 or 4 good ones on the right. And when I say 3 or 4 good ones, 2 or 3 good ones, I mean people that are not only selling the products, whether you do it or not, they're out there building teams, training teams, doing travel parties, building events. They're doing everything you wish they would do, and they're a part of your team, and you're eligible to get paid off all of the efforts that they're putting in, which is a beautiful thing. That's why people get involved in the first place. Now, if you want to go to the next level, where people are making big money, like a couple $100,000 a year, then the average person has sponsored at least 60 people to get to that level. So I don't know how much money you want to make, but if you're talking about personal enrollment, someone that you invited in and they got started, 30 is one plateau, the other one is about 60, okay? So that's one of your vital statistics. The other vital statistic is how many people on your team are going to the next event. Now, we have a place in the back office where you can go right now, tonight, and see how many people on your team are signed up for the regional that we're doing here in Singapore, or any of the regionals for that matter, anywhere in the world. And you can also go and look for how many people are going to our next big event, which is the one I was telling you about. It's called The View from the Edge. It's going to be in Pattaya, in Thailand. So you can go and see how many people on your team are going to that. And again, there is a direct correlation between how many people you have on your team going to events and the size of your bonus check, guys. It just, again, you can talk to James about this. They've worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked, a bunch of them, for a year here in Singapore. And I forget the exact numbers, about 700 or something like that, people within 800 within the first year. And I'm telling you, these guys were full-time, working like crazy. And I'm not putting that down. To have 800 people on your team with virtually no help and no training is impressive. However, it certainly wasn't enough to create the kind of success and income they were looking for. We did one training, all together they got 100 people to go, and then what was it, 28,000 people within the next 12 months? Okay, over 60,000 people, 26,000. So within 1 year they went from 700 to 26,000. How many think that's a significant increase? So that's cool, but again, that's James's team, that's not your team. So how many would like to have your team be over 26? This is really easy. This is called monkey see, monkey do. It's real easy. So we have a training coming up in Pattaya. So basically we're saying, what if you had 100 people there, and then your group grew to 26,000 a year later? Would that be good? Okay, now if you can't have 100 there, for God's sakes, get at least 10. Do something. The more people you have, the better off you're going to be. So that's one of our vital statistics. See how many people you've personally enrolled, see how many people going to the next event, and the last vital statistic of the three is to see how many of your people are on the Advantage program. Now, as of right this minute, we don't even have a way for you to know that, so you just have to guess. But we'll have it. We will have our program people are going to make sure you have that ability to be able to figure that out very shortly. So I've now gone through 5 of the 7 apps. And listen, I know you're dying to get the last 2, so I'll share them with you. Number 6. They're all really important. None of them's more important than the other, but this one's, I would have to say, the most important. Show World Ventures to at least one person every day. So whether you're trying to sell them as a customer, recruit them as a rep, or do both. Expose World Ventures to at least one person every single day. Now, I understand you can't do it every day. There's some people who are going to lose who are going, okay, I've got the 7 absolutes, I'm going to do it. And then you're going to go out and show one person tomorrow, one person the next day, and then on Sunday you're going to miss doing a presentation. You're going to go, oh my God, I blew it. We know you're not going to do one presentation every day. There's 365 days a year, so let's give you about 100 and some odd off. Let's just have 150 days where you do one presentation. Can we do that? One presentation a day for 150 days, that's 150 presentations a year. If you stink bad and you only get 1 out of 10 people to sign up, that means you'd have 15 personal customers or enrollments within a year's time. And if you did it for 2 years in a row, you'd have 30. Anyone remember 30 personal enrollments? Does that ring a bell any place? So if you go out for, again, it's just a matter of doing what you're supposed to do over and over. It's not exciting when you make the phone call to invite someone to